Thank you for responding to my call with such haste. Rest assured I should not have summoned you if it were not urgent. To the business then. I have received some most disturbing news from the Order of the Twin Adder. They have reason to believe that the Sylphs may have called forth their revered guardian, the primal Ramuh. I'm sorry, may have? So it's not certain? The Elder Seeds here informs us that the elementals themselves murmur of the Lord of Levin's return to the forest. The Sylphlings, however, display no signs of undue commotion. Forgive me, antecedent, but the fact that it needs not contradict the elemental's testimony. Unlike his more bellicose compeers, Garuda and so on, Ramuh is reputed to act only in defense. I imagine he would soon make his presence known if any were foolish enough to directly endanger the Sylphs, or their territory. The abruptness of this development concerns me. Were we not keeping a close watch on the Touched Ones? If preparations for a summoning ritual were indeed underway, it would surely not escape our notice. Oh, it didn't. I was pretty sure it was going to happen, just not this soon. I beg your pardon, you foresaw this eventuality? I told Papalimo I suppose I could have reported things in Minfilia earlier, but there obviously wasn't much we could do except wait and see. You know how the Sylphs feel about people poking around in their territory. They already summoned Ramuh once after the calamity, but that was because the Garleans came tramping through the forest. And so, as long as Castrum Orion stands, the Sylphs cannot be blamed for wishing to have their guardian deity on hand. In short, Ida and I are in agreement. The actions of the forest folk were inevitable and unavoidable. And I maintain that observation would have remained the best policy had it not been for the sudden influx of strangers into the Black Shroud. That, alas, we did not foresee. But by all accounts, the recent violence in Ul'Dah drove a number of refugees to seek safety under the concealing canopy of the trees. It is like that the Sylphs perceived this panic migration as yet another invasion. I am put in mind of Titan and the kobolds. Once again, it is the affairs of men which have paved ways for Primal's coming. Indeed, one cannot help but wonder what manner of place Eorze would be without the civilizing influence of mankind. Soapy, though your dealings with the Sylphs of Little Solids, you once succeeded in preventing an untimely conflict with Gridania. Through your dealings, I wonder, might one who has treated with the Sylphs so fruitfully in the past not achieve similar success with their patron deity? If Ramuh can be convinced of our intentions, it may be the first step to breaking this cycle. A fond hope. Were such a thing possible, we would not have been at war with the Beastmen since time immemorial. But maybe this time we can... Let us continue this discussion anon. We must needs find consult with the nation most affected by Ramuh's presence. The Elder Seeds here has requested your personal involvement, Soapy. Pray report to the commander, Heloi. I don't know why I said it like that. Heloi at the Adder's Nest. I don't know what I was trying to say. Steel yourself for the worst. In such an event, your fellow Scions will of course lend you whatever support you require. Against the Lord of the Levin. Hi, Connie.
Scions of the Seventh Dawn, on behalf of the people of Gridania, I bid you welcome. Your presence is of great comfort to us all in these days of uncertainty. I summoned you here to share tidings of a most urgent nature. But a short while ago, the great elemental spoke, and his voice was clarion in its intensity. Ramuh is returned unto the forest. Scarce had his words ceased to echo in mine ears when we were visited by an emissary from Little Solace.
Oh, hey!
Our guest informs us that the Sylphs too have sensed the presence of the Lord of Levin. Though his exact whereabouts remain unknown, we may safely assume that the Primal was summoned within the heart of the Sylphlands. Unlike the other Primals you have encountered, Lord Ramuh is no raging avatar of destruction. He is revered as much for his wisdom as his strength, serving as both arbiter and guardian to his children. Given that we and the Sylphs found a way to share the Twelveswood, it is my hope that this sagely immortal will be amenable to reason, and that conflict may be avoided. Blessed as you are with the power of the echo, you are one of the few among us who may commune with a primal without fear of influence. I would ask, therefore, that you represent us in this most delicate of negotiations. The Twelveswood has suffered enough. Upon this, we and the Sylphs, and I would venture Lord Ramuh himself, are in perfect accord. Let us not endanger our shared home by engaging in unnecessary hostilities. Dear friend, I beseech you, safeguard the peace which exists between our peoples.
It really is like Lord Mugamog.
You have my thanks.
And not very much
Pray
like
make for little solace, then.
Leviathan at all.
A member of the Order of the Twin Adder awaits you there. He will advise you on how to find the Lord of Levin. An ill wind blows through the forest. Yet, it is not only the Twelveswood that flinches at its coming. All the lands Vaorzia shiver in dread anticipation. Have care.
I was told to expect you. I understand that you go to treat with the Primal himself, an unenviable task, but one for which I have no doubt you are well suited. It's weird, I've never heard of peace treaty talks, or just treaty talks, as going to treat. That makes me wonder about trick or treat as a phrase. Like, does trick or treat mean I will trick you or you will give me a treat? Or does it mean that I will trick you or we will form a treaty? And that treaty is you give me candy and I leave you alone. Makes you think. I've been told that your fellow Scions are conducting an investigation in the area as we speak, that we might ascertain the location where the Lord of Levin might be found. But ask you to hang close until we know for sure. No, just tell me already. I was told the messenger would be sent as soon as your fellow Scions finish their investigation. I do not imagine it will be much longer. It's me, I'm a messenger. Your timing is impeccable. Might you be so kind as to escort this good man to his fellow Scions? It would be this one's pleasure, walking one. That was weird, I was attacked, but the music never changed. Oh. Okay. Just trying to avoid that enemy.
Thine order betrays thee, servant of hiding. Thou art the bringer of light, bane of Ifrit, Titan, Garuda, and Leviathan.
And good King Mugamog.
I am Ramuh, guardian of the children of the forest. Thou tramplest upon sacred soil, bringer of light. By what right doth man intrude in this sanctuary of the sylphs? Gridanians proffer peace? Their words are born of delusion, thine offer an insult. Thou speakest of harmony, yet carest not for my children's desires. They did but wish to dwell beneath these boughs in solitude. Yet even that was too much to ask of man. Thus did they turn to me for succor. The sentence I pronounce upon thy kind is just. Redanian or Garlean, it matters not. The good intent of one excuseth not the misdeeds of the other. Thy conflicts have brought naught but anguish and misery unto the forest. All blame doth lie with the darkness that resideth in the breast of man. Whence sprung this calamitous seed? In the beginning no such duality existed, for light and dark given form when man was born. It would explain much, not least why strife and sorrow follow ever in thy wake. Thou canst not deny the urgings of thine own nature. Knowing that thy mere presence here portendeth tragedy, wilt thou persist in this pretense of peacemaking?
You bet. I am Soapy.
Thou bearest the crystal which I bestowed upon my wayward charges, that they should entrust so precious a gift to thee. Thou standest apart from thy kin. Thou art the bringer of light, aye, but there is something more in thee. Very well. I shall consider thy proposal, shouldst thou survive my trial. If thou wouldst champion the cause of harmony, I must have proof that thou art fit to play the role. Wither mine ire, and prove to me thereby that thou hast strength enough to stay the darkness which threateneth to consume thee. Yet if thou shouldst be found wanting, know that all men shall perish in the storm of my judgment.
That sounds fair. I very vaguely remember his theme.
Come to me, bringer of light. I shall await thee on the field of battle.
Urianger, it is rare indeed to find you so far from a tome.
The Lord of Levin himself. Never till this day had I looked upon his visage, save in painted renderings made faint by time. Ever shall this scene remain etched in my mind's eye. Beg pardon, my lady. I must beg thine aid on a point of research. If thou art resolved to face Lord Ramuh, I would ask thy leave to observe the event.
I love that he took off his etheric binoculars to reveal a pair of goggles. Okay, now I remember the song. So loud. Okay, I remember the mechanics now. Hey, at least somebody used the limit break. Even if it only did 2% of his health. Lord almighty. Lord of 11.
I have taken thy measure, bringer of light. And I judge thee a worthy champion. The task of excising the sin that hath taken root in man's heart is thine.
Excising, huh?
Shrink not from employing thy strength in service to the forest and the wider realm beyond. Like hungering shadows do the enemies of harmony gather, and meekness will but feed them. If man is to be delivered from the dark, it shall be by thy guiding light alone. Stray not from the path, for if thou dost, thy people shall be truly lost.
Thou hast slain the Lord of Levin. A regrettable act, but a necessary one.
Nerds love other nerds.
In witnessing thy struggle, a truth hath been revealed unto me. If I mistake not, it may yet prove a chink in the eternal armor of the Ascians. But let us conclude our present business. I shall expound upon my findings at the Rising Stones anon.
You perform a monumental duty this day, Sergeant Sensik Novum. The elder seats here must be informed of your deeds at once. Oh, let me go report to her then. Alright. He says.
You are returned to us, dear friend, and none the worse for bearing the heavy burden which I did press upon you. Most glad am I of this. I am informed that your efforts to negotiate a peace with Lord Ramuh ended in conflict. Pray tell me, what befell?
It was pretty chill.
Ramuh made trial of you?
No, I said chill.
I fear there is truth to his claim. It is the darkness within us that attracts the darkness without.
I don't think you're hearing me.
It cannot be denied that misfortune follows man. For evidence, one need only look to the conflict brewing in Cartonel, or to the rising flood of refugees. Our shared struggle against the Empire should have served to seal our union. Yet the ties which bind the Alliance strain under the weight of gross self-interest. As the scars of the calamity begin to fade, so too does our sense of common purpose. Yet now is scarce the time to forget our shared responsibility. If this new-sprung realm is to survive beyond its infancy, it must needs be nurtured by all. Eorzea must be as one, yet I fear that dream is still far off. On behalf of the people of Gridania and the elementals both, I thank you for all that you and your fellow scions have done. Full oft have I been compelled to look to you for aid of late, and offered all too little in return. As leader of this nation, I shall endeavor to prove a more worthy ally to your cause henceforth.
Okay.
Lord Ramuh has departed, yet the keening of this ill wind grows no less insistent. Voices of the forest, pray speak and I shall listen. What unseen evil begets this unease in my heart?
Don't eat fried burritos for dinner. But I was going to. I'd hoped Lord Ramuh could be persuaded with words alone, but nonetheless, I can only admire the adroitness with which you responded to the primal sudden challenge. Papalimo, I don't know the meaning of the word. And it seems that Urianger too was pleased with the outcome. What say you, Soapy? Shall we gather back at the Rising Stones and ponder the lessons of the day? I think it's going to be more of who's a what's it? A lecture than a pondering of lessons. But yes, we shall. Okay. Been lots of voice acting in this patch.
If everyone is ready, let us begin. Urianger, the floor is yours.
And the ceiling's yours, my lady.
As all
Sky's the
here
limit.
assembled now know, in its final hours as our Order's headquarters, the Waking Sands did play host to a most unexpected visitor. I speak of the Ascian clad in white, Elidibus. Unwelcome though his presence was, his words that day did serve to confirm a truth long suspected, that the Ascians are eternal beings, to whom physical destruction is as a temporary inconvenience.
In the intervening time, Urianger and I have striven to discover a means by which the Ascians might more permanently be slain.
And 'tis my belief that we have found the thread that will allow us to unravel the twisted skein of their existence. In the moments prior to Leviathan's most recent manifestation, the Sahagin elder who summoned him was observed to undergo some manner of ascension. The etheric readings taken by Y'shtola at the time of this transfiguration have proven most enlightening.
The disruption to the flow of ether was sudden and dramatic. So tangible was the agitation, I scarce had need of my goggles.
The significance of Y'shtola's readings might better be understood in the context of mine own, taken at the instant of the Lord of Levin's demise. Unlike the primal, the Sahagin was not subject to etheric dissipation.
Before discussing our new discoveries, it may benefit us all to recall what we know of etheric behavior. Let us begin at what some might call the end. When we who dwell in the material realm die, our spirits dissolve into the flow of ether and are returned to the ethereal realm. In turn, the restless energy which suffuses that plane streams back into our world, giving rise to new life.
That's the live stream.
'Tis as the heavens did decree, the way of all mortal souls. Twixt this world and the next do the ethereal currents swirl, bearing the very essence of life. Thus doth the cycle of birth, death, and rebirth continue unabated.
Primals behave somewhat differently. In order to manifest and then maintain a physical presence in this realm, they must consume vast quantities of ether, most often in the form of crystals. Though they may seem to live, their flesh is but ether given shape. Thus, a defeated primal leaves behind no broken corpse. Rather, the essence of its form seeps back into the land whence it came, and the energy of its shattered spirit is called back to the ethereal realm.
And there it waiteth, till next the prayers of the faithful do draw it forth from the sea of ether, to take their offering of crystals and make for itself a new body.
Okay, I see where we're going with this.
Which brings us on to the third group, the so-called immortals. They exist in a manner all their own.
Quite. Even as the Sahagin Elder fell to the Admiral's musket shot, I witnessed the release of an ethereal cloud, which immediately took possession of a nearby minion.
A soul that dissipateth not upon the death of the flesh.
The secret of life everlasting, and in the claws of a Sahagin no less. But I wonder, what would happen to one of these obstinate spirits should there be no suitable host for it to claim?
If mortal death entails a return to the ethereal realm, it seems doubtful that the soul of an immortal would venture there.
Nay, it merely withdraweth the distance, unto the shore of the ethereal sea, perchance, but no further.
Yes, it exists in neither this realm nor the next, abiding instead in the space that lies between them. The Ascians took control of Thancred by means of a crystal of darkness, an artifact which, if our theories are correct, serves as a gateway to the place I have just described.
I was hoping people had forgotten about that.
I am sorry, my friend.
For a mercy, the weary road of our research hath brought us unto an answer.
The Sahagin ascended to an immortal state, but he did not possess a crystal of darkness through which to flee this realm. Thus was he consumed by Leviathan. If we could entrap the spirits of defeated Ascians in like manner, and thereby deny them resurrection...
Therein lieth the path to victory. Thou art most perceptive, my lady. Only when we have trapped the bodiless soul within an ethereal prison can we hope to defeat its unnatural constancy. Thus might even an eternal paragon be consigned to oblivion.
I like how this just like doesn't matter later on.
These feats are, of course, far easier said than done. At present, we lack a viable means to entrap and extinguish an Ascian soul. Yet, I believe it to be possible. The pieces of the puzzle lie before us. We have but to put them together.
I will depart at once to convene with the sages of Sharlayan. Together shall we divine the steps by which our goals may be achieved.
I have the utmost faith in you, Archon.
Beg pardon, antecedent, but I would raise one final matter.
Antecedent.
Even now, a Sharlayan survey party seeketh to ascertain the fate of the students of Baldessian. Their findings shall soon be known to us. Though you harbor feelings of dread, I bid you surrender not to sorrow, but abide instead in hopeful prayer.
I shall, Archon. Thank you.
The Lord of Levin is returned. Oops. Ramuh's acquiescence was most intriguing. No idea what that word means. Inferno, Vortex, Crag, Whirl, and Levin all have been now humbled by the Bringer of Light. 1 second. Oh, tab. The limitless potential of man, Heidelin Servant, grows mightier by the day. But yeah, can I move that? Well, yet he prospers at a great cost to his mistress, whose strength is all too finite. 7 times have the masses survived the rejoining, but their souls are growing weak and wan. Heard of that word? Yet even as it inevibrates, the ardor empowers our master. All that remains is to nurture the strength of the gifted, to forge the final piece, says Ul'Dahn. And that is the task to which we bend our efforts. La Habre is back. Divine seeds wherever want to quicken in Eorzea's fertile soil. We need only lead men to the field, and by their eager hands shall a new deity arise. That which was shattered shall be made anew, and the one true God shall come again. And I believe proper introductions have yet to be made. I am known as Hoary Boulder, and this bookish fellow is Coltonet. Though we may remain largely unproven as adventurers, we have taken it upon ourselves to instruct the Doman younglings in the art of combat. Ugh, I told you, Mr. Boulder, we are not younglings anymore. We are adventurers. And that we're just asking Mr. Soapy if he could give us some special training. Well, you've certainly been diligent with your drills, but I'm afraid the fiends of Mordona are still ever so slightly too dangerous for you. I have a counter-proposal. What if I were to cross swords with Soapy? A demonstration of skill at arms, if you will. Or if I didn't know better, and I do, I'd say you were merely seeking to test yourself against a legend. Ha ha ha! Well, I am. What say you, Soapy? Would you consent to spar with me? Hey, I'll kick your ass any day you want me to. Impressive as always, Soapy. It's a pleasure to witness a spectacle of your martial prowess. And judging by the smiles on these many faces, they too appreciate the hard-won strength that keeps the perils of the realm at bay. Guardian of Eorzea, yes, that is a most fitting title. I like Defender of Eorzea. Do you recall when we first met? It was at the memorial service for the Battle of Cartano. No, it wasn't. It was inside of a cart. At the time, I was yet attempting to understand this land of Eorzea. I sought to grasp the reason why Grandfather willingly sacrificed himself to protect it. I shall speak plainly, and my initial impressions were less than favorable. Dire problems abounded, and yet the effort I saw expelled toward their solutions was haphazard and half-hearted. I thought Eorzeans a foolish and childish people. Considering the shambles their home was in, I would not have been surprised if some had chosen to swear allegiance to Gaius and the order he proposed to enforce. The Legatus' single-minded military invasion precluded any such switchings of loyalties, of course. Were it not for a desire to continue Grandfather's legacy, I would have abandoned the realm to its fate long ago. The threats were too many, the nations too self-involved and unstable. It was you who convinced me the salvation of Eorzea was possible. It was you who taught me, through countless acts of bravery, that what my grandsire sought to preserve was not the land, not its history, nor a single nation. It was the people, these wonderful, often infuriating, stubborn people that suffer blow after terrible blow only to drag themselves back to their feet to face another day. Though he never put such feelings into words, I believe grandfather's admiration for this inextinguishable courage grew into a fervent wish. A wish to aid Eorzea and its inhabitants in charting a new course for the future. A wish that has now become my own. I too will endeavor to take the mantle of guardian of Eorzea and champion to the people who toil toward a better tomorrow. Our cause, however, is not a simple one. The troubles that plague us are of a scale that cannot be solved by the scions of the Seventh Dawn alone. No, that is what is needed is to tackle the root of the primal threat and effectively counter the schemes of the Ashians. It is a new expanded organization that cooperates beyond the limitations of nations and borders. If you would aid me in building such an organization, then pray let us continue this discussion back within the walls of the Rising Stones. I don't know, Alphinaud. Sounds sus. Thank you for coming, Soapy. The world shifts and alters, and we, my friend, must ever be one step ahead of the chaos. What I propose is the formation of a new organization, a group that shall pave way for a truly united Eorzea. Grade 4 materia, huh? Yeah, Savage Might. Pray forgive me if I tread over old ground, but I would first speak of the grand plan. Since the advent of the 7th Astral Era, the leaders of the three nations have been deliberating over an accord that seeks to bring the disparate forces of Eorzea together into a single entity. A realm-wide grand company, if you will. The military might of such an institution would be drawn from every corner of the land and directed against threats that no single nation could hope to overcome alone. Yet while the purpose of this hypothetical organization is undisputed, the logistics of its formation have become the source of endless debate. And the longer these discussions continue, the more I sense the impetus toward the unification draining away. Thus I have been campaigning for the creation of what might be considered a trial company. It will be on a much smaller scale than what we hope to eventually achieve, but capable of the same manner of unrestricted operations. Also, being a preliminary military outfit, I mean to assuage fears of its misuse by placing the fledgling organization under the authority of the antecedent. Scions work tirelessly to protect Eorzea and its people. But as you yourself has witnessed with the refugee revolt, there are limitations to what we can achieve. With this new company under the Scion's command, however, we will be capable of responding to a wider range of difficulties without straining our resources or overtaxing your formidable talents. The goal of my proposed organization and those of the Scions are ultimately identical, a point conceded by all concerned. But before I can move forward with establishing this precursor to the true, border-spanning Grand Company, it is yet necessary that I visit the three leaders and gain their approval, a tiresome and time-consuming task. Our first destination will be Limsa, so let us rendezvous at Bulwark Hall. Why? We are free to begin. Our first wave of recruitment is over, the documents signed, and the finances secure. It does not prevent me from taking the next step. And that is? You were concerned by the Syndicate's involvement, as was I. Thus was the origin of every coin of their contribution carefully scrutinized and recorded. The organization will not be built on corruption. Naturally, I prefer not to rely upon outside sources at all, but even my family's substantial coffers could not sustain a venture of this magnitude. As for the rumors surrounding the enterprise, well, such things shall plague us till the company has had a chance to prove its worth. It will not be an easy process, but we will earn the people's trust one success at a time. Speaking of time, we waste no more of it. Say so. Again, look at this ship. It looks like a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle face when it's at a different angle. Right before it leaves the screen. I didn't see it that time. Oh, there it is. It's vague. I don't know if you can make it out.
Tell me, General, what think you of Alphinaud's bold endeavor?
I think it is more than bold, Your Grace. His organization would pave the way for a united Eorzea. Well do I understand his impatience, since facing the common threat of the Ultima weapon, our nations have seemed farther apart, not closer together. Considering the many problems we face, should we not be glad that someone else is taking the initiative?
We have all pledged our cooperation, yet the grumbling continues behind closed doors. Ul'Dah is not alone in her duplicity. I myself have doubts as to the good this organization will achieve. With the inclusion of the finest soldiers of the 3 grand companies, it promises to be a fearsome military body. But whom will it serve? Even under the watchful gaze of the Scions, it is not unthinkable that such a force could perpetrate a great wrong. Does it not concern you that a significant proportion of its financial backing came from the coffers of the Syndicate? That those unprincipled worms might forge this extraordinary gathering of warriors into a private army?
I have trust in the Scions, Your Grace. They have spared us no end of trouble at the hands of the Primals. If they seek reinforcements, I deem it unwise to deny them. As for their finances, full many gave generously. And though our nobles proffered a sizable sum, their coin did not spill from the pockets of Lolorito and his cronies. And what of the presence of our stalwart adventurer friend in this endeavor? I doubt the Warrior of Light would betray our cause.
Yes, there is that, I suppose. Yet I have known people to change. Whether we will or no, the events of the age hurl us this way and that, like a dust devil skipping across the sands. Cannot be done about Telechi?
I have explored all avenues available to us, Your Grace. But as Ul'Dahn law now stands, we lack the evidence to convict him of any crime. To arrest him on spurious grounds would only play into his hands.
He has all but committed treason, and yet we can do nothing? Then what good our government? What worth the royal house? How deplorable this mockery of justice!
Have faith, Your Grace. It is not over.